Welcome back. You're still tuned into Trading Hour. Markets doing well, continues to be above the 25,150 mark on the Nifty, but we have to talk about a big story. So much action happening in the primary market. We have updates coming in terms of new IPO approvals as well. Hormaz will tell us more. What's happening here? So much buzz.
When the going is good, the companies would want to go towards the primary markets, right? And that's what has happened in the last 3 months when the market has seen some bit of recovery from the lows. And just yesterday, the regulators approved 5 more IPOs, and including the likes of Orkla, which is the parent company of MTR Foods, Hero Motors, of course, that does not have any relation with Hero Motor Corp. Pine Labs was the other IPO that was approved. The 2 units of Canara Bank, Canara HSBC, and Canara Robeco, which was approved last week itself. So 2 units of Canara Bank getting approval. There are a couple of others as well that received approval from the market regulator. So a lot of companies that are hitting the primary markets. But to tell you more on what has happened so far, the IPOs that have listed this year have not done much. When you take a look at the returns here, you've had close to 50 IPOs so far. This is as of the 11th of September, before Urban Company and all of the other issues opened. This is, of course, the listed ones. 8 of them are trading below their IPO price. Only 3 of them have doubled. 50 to 100% have been 9, but 17, which is almost a third of the IPOs that have listed, have only given single-digit returns so far. So, and of course, that's also courtesy of the market, the way the market has been. It's been sideways, and that's how it's reflected on a lot of these names as well. Now, when the markets were down earlier part of the year, if you take a look at January to June, the first 6 months of the year, we had only 24 IPOs. In fact, in the month of March, we did not have a single IPO. When the markets eventually made a first bottom, and then, of course, then we went to that 21,700 in April. But since June, we have had almost 29 IPOs. We've made that dash from around levels of around 22,000 odd towards 25,100, where we currently stand at. So 29 IPOs is including the 3 IPOs that recently closed for subscription and will be listing tomorrow, including the likes of Urban Company. Now, take a look at the subscription interest here. Urban Company is a 2,000 crore rupee IPO, and it was subscribed over 100 times. Now, what reports are also saying is that this is the biggest or the highest subscription that any unicorn has received for an IPO, even higher than what Eternal or a lot of the other IPOs had received. So more than 100 times subscription there. Dev Accelerator, Shringar House of Mangalsutra also. Of course, the IPO size is small, but still it had significant interest, particularly so because there were 3 IPOs that were open at the same time. And therefore, a subscription of 60x is still considered healthy. Now, on the pipeline, the road ahead as well, there are a lot of big companies that are lined up for their IPOs. Urban Company is listing tomorrow, as well as are the other 2. Prestige Hospitality is the big name that comes here. We spoke to Irfan Razak as well recently of Prestige Estates, and he also mentioned that with everything going to plan, the hospitality IPO should be in by next month, is what he mentioned. So that's the big one. Hero FinCorp is the other one. LG Electronics is the one to watch out for, because another Korean giant trying to put its stamp on the Indian markets. Hyundai has already been listed as the largest IPO of the country so far. So 10,000 crores there as well. Anand Rathi Shares, that is the other one, not the wealth. The wealth management business is already listed. So that's another one in the pipeline. Physics Wala is the other one that's in the pipeline. So there are a lot of issues that you need to keep an eye out for going forward as well. So the pipeline remains healthy. Of course, you're all watching out for the NSE IPO. Prashant also spoke to Ashish Chauhan, and he mentioned that maybe in the next 8 to 9 months, we'll have a NSE IPO as well. So that's the big one to watch out for. But the pipeline remains healthy. A lot of companies heading to the primary markets. We have an issue open as we speak, and there are some listing tomorrow as well. So the healthy.
Interesting times for the primary market. Let's see which way things go and what the moves on these particular stocks are after the list. Actually, because, you know, we've been talking about a lot of these stocks which see those pop-ups or that big surge during listing, but then they are not able to reach those levels. Clean Science and Technology, we spoke about it. You know, after that big fat finger trick that took place, the stock was still not at that IPO price, listed some 4 or 5 years back. So a lot of that action happening as well. in this particular space. But you know what? You have something.
The first name that strikes when you mentioned the big pop on IPO is Idea Forge. The Idea Forge was 672 rupees IPO price. The IPO post-IPO high was 1344, which is exactly 100% from its listing price. And look at Idea Forge where it is now, somewhere around close to 500 or 600 rupees. It fell to as low as 300. So, of course,
there have been a lot of fundamental reasons for that as well.
Of course.
The order book issues and the fact that there has been a lot of exposure to China, and that's something that the markets have not liked so much. But with that, we are completely out of time on this edition of Trading Hour. Stay tuned. A very special conversation with Jefferies Chris Wood coming up next.